Salutations, my gentle and of course very modern apes, and welcome back to another episode of Gutsick Gibbon. A hearty welcome to those friendly primates and malicious primates alike who are just dipping in. This is probably going to be recorded in a section or two, just because I was really liking this this pattern that I had going on today with the blacks and whites, and I kind of just wanted to share it with you. So I got this shirt at Walmart in the little boys section, but I thought it was pretty sweet. As you can see, it says tricky on it. I am myself very tricky. I'm a very crafty primate. It says sis on another part, like SIS, like what's up, sis? It says rebel, I think, and of course I am a rebel. It says weird, that defines me as, I just thought it was neat, okay? And, you know, now that I'm recording myself wearing it, I feel a little silly, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep this in, and when I'm editing, keep this in. Anyways, I found something a little bit worrisome, and I just thought I'd dip in here and share it with you real briefly. If you spend any modicum of time on YouTube before, you've probably seen a whole lot of thumbnails that utilize exaggerated facial expressions in order to get people to click on it. Usually it'll be like, he said what to her? The dog's doing what with the chainsaw?
What the dog doing?
Your mind will just explode when you see what this nun did with a bicycle. John Stamos did what with the lemon? You'll never guess what they found in Obama's pants pockets. TikTok fail compilation, episode 600 trillion. There's a lot of stupid titles out there, and usually, again, they're meant to be clickbait. I have fallen into this trap once or twice, but also those are the videos of mine that perform the best, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Enter my horrifying discovery when you traipse over to the Answers in Genesis YouTube channel. Not only does Ken Ham in full simian mode here promise you new videos every week, but you will discover that Answers in Genesis, or at least the thumbnail person who is running Answers in Genesis, or running the videos, uploading the videos if you will, has discovered the SS Sniper Wolf reaction thumbnail. So we've got Christian reacts to 150 billion year old fossil. Wait, million-year-old fossil. How Pres Biden is trying to distort the Bible. Is he honest? Is Bill Nye a scientist or a sellout? Someone's still smarting from the debate. TikTok pastors are worse than you think. And Georgia Purdon's going, huh? She's going, what? You got DNA points out, the traced situation. We're going to have to discuss Nathaniel Jeanson, scientist. We're going to have to discuss his traced novel eventually. His traced book eventually. We've got, does the Bible reference this? Fossil reveals how snakes lost their legs. And Georgia Purnham's going, yeah, I feel like I read about a snake losing his legs in the Bible. We've got, this horrible movement is growing. Christians respond. Is that a threat? God's design, and this guy's going, what? He's so shocked. There's a bunch of, like, you know, I guess, what is this, like anti-abortion stuff here. We've got, don't celebrate this. Catholic Church brings abortion celebrations to a halt. But I thought they hate the Catholic Church. We got Mickey, and his eyes are like bloodshot red. It's like the creepy pasta.
Whether you fancy a mystery or something to trigger your goosebumps, these top 10 scary videos, Mama My Mia.
We got the alien. Tim Shaffy is pointing at the alien, and he's like, Tim Shaffy, my nemesis. Anyways, as you can see, they've really latched onto this whole arrow points to thing and person looks shocked. But it wasn't always like this, you guys. It wasn't always like this. In fact, if you go to sort by and you go to date added oldest, we're greeted with the old-fashioned Answers in Genesis. Grainy pictures of Georgia Purdom and Ken Ham as they wax poetic about one thing or another. I gotta compliment Georgia. I'm glad she's going gray. I think she's aging quite gracefully, more so than most of her colleagues. I miss this. I miss the old AIG. What happened? Answers in Genesis. Who hurt you? I also thought it was kind of funny if you click on a major discovery, which discusses the new oldest Proto-Hebrew inscription, and I thought to myself, oldest? Well, like, how do they know it's the oldest, right? Like, how do they know that? How are they getting that information that this is the oldest? And when you pop on over here, to my absolute delight, you go to about 12 minutes, 55 seconds. I'm gonna let this play out for you. Maybe you can pick up on the problem.
Israelites lived. We want to have that scientifically tested. It was never scientifically tested, by the way. Okay. Pottery from around the transition of around 1400 down into the later period. Not a lot, but some. He did not do any carbon-14 dating. Now, we use carbon-14 dating cautiously, but as part of a matrix of evidence, we would like to actually get a hold of some of the animal bones and see if we can extract some collagen from it and see what kind of carbon dates we can get out of it.
Curious. Carbon dating, eh? How strange. So I've time traveled a bit into the future here. Now we're wearing a shirt that says, live fast, pet dogs. And this is a lifestyle that I get behind. I live this every day. Backing on up to to the Answers in Genesis homepage, you really can see that we've time traveled, because now we have another new video titled How Florida is Standing Up for Biblical Principles. And the guy's like, holy shit, oh my god, what's Florida doing? And they've got like a like a Florida PNG and a Holy Bible PNG. I mean, like, whatever, like, it's fine. Now, you must be wondering at this point, what's the point of this video? What are you really doing here at Gutsick Gibbon? And the answer is creating filler content. And I just thought this would be kind of funny. I'm testing out my new editing software, and I'm just trying to goof around a little bit. But you will not go by unscathed as far as the science goes, because we got to talk for just a brief minute about that little tasty tidbit about carbon dating that we just got. So, young Earth creationists, they accept carbon dating. They accept radiocarbon dating. And they title this article that kind of discusses radiocarbon dating a creationist puzzle. And they're basically like, yeah, okay, we use carbon dating too. And I think they have something specifically where they're like, evolutionists aren't the only ones who run into challenges while trying to reconcile radiocarbon dating with their view of history. Except, of course, those who accept conventional science do not run into any problems with regard to radiocarbon dating. You can find an entire video going over all of Answers in Genesis, as well as other creationist orgs like ICR's favorite examples of bad radiocarbon dating, to see why they are in fact incorrect, and radiocarbon dating is in fact very copacetic with the ancient view of the Earth. But not so much here, because these guys like accept radiocarbon dating to a point, right? So radiocarbon dating is a method, right? You can go back as far as 50,000 years. Some people can really push the limit there. They can get it to 60, even 80,000 if you ask some folks. So how does that work? How can you accept radiocarbon dating? Sometimes. And Andrew Snelling's answer for that is the ancient Earth was just, as usual, built different. It had a stronger magnetic field and more carbon in the pre-flood biosphere. And then they say, don't worry, the puzzle is being solved. And they're basically just scaling it. He's trying to scale radiocarbon dating with the 6,000-year-old Earth. No, it doesn't really make any sense at all. No, the magnetic field's impact on radiocarbon dating is not so severe as to take carbon dates that are 60,000 years and, kind of juke them around to being an artificial date. This is not how any of this works. Same thing with excess carbon. It's just not how it goes. Again, I explain it all in great detail in my other video, but I am tickled by this idea. And he kind of finishes by by this nice little video on radiocarbon or radiometric dating in general, and he kind of just is like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Don't think about it too much, which I think summarizes a lot of Answers in Genesis's answers to problems, which is say, well, conventional science has a problem too, and conventional science usually doesn't, and then they're like, and we're also working on our problem. So just a little fun dose for you today. I thought we would take a look at a couple of other channels, mostly because while I was preparing to record today, I decided to see, I thought to myself, I wonder, do other young Earth creationist YouTube channels, are they also adopting the aspects of modern culture that they like to try to bring more into the flock? And upon encountering Living Waters or The Great Ray Comfort's YouTube channel, this was a confirmed prediction in the yes column. We have a lot to work with here. And Ray, as you can see, is just absolutely excellent when it comes to doing goofball faces in front of the camera for thumbnails. I can only wish to achieve this someday, but let's appreciate not just the thumbnails themselves and how silly they are, but also some of these titles. What Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter means for the gospel. This was the number one thought on everyone's mind, of course, when the multi-billionaire Elon Musk thought about buying the cesspool social media platform. We have gender is fluid until you bring this up. Classic clickbait, because you see this and you're like, whoa, what is this? What could he be talking about? We have Burger King twists Jesus's words, then this happens. This is a powerful sentence. You really can't replicate the amount of power in that sentence alone. And of course, there are other excellent hits. Is Ray Comfort the false teacher? And then it's got like the comment. We've got that one lizard picture of Mark Zuckerberg. Again, I don't understand why they picked this picture. It's not flattering. Christians won't conquer porn without doing this. I mean, they could have at least done a funny thumbnail. It could have been like Ray Comfort and he's like holding an eggplant or something, right? We have Bruce Willis has a much bigger problem. He needs God to beat this. Because yes, the cure for aphasia, which is the mental illness that Bruce Willis is currently tackling, which is a very real problem, prayer is what's going to solve it. Awesome. We'll keep that in mind next time Ray Comfort goes to the doctor for any reason. We have Will Smith slaps Chris Rock at the Oscars. This is just so fascinating to me. I'm sorry, I have to pause for a second, because what we're looking at here is basically like a transitional fossil, right? We have the ancient Living Waters ministry like tackle a lot of the quote-unquote creation evolution content, very much like Kent Hovind. And they've transformed, much like Answers in Genesis is currently doing, evolved, if you will, into like more culture war stuff. And that does seem to be the inevitable conclusion of all of this. It seems as if a lot of these young earth creationist organizations are going to be leaning harder and harder into the culture war and caring less and less about that young earth creationism. Why Jesus hates Justin Bieber's song. Do you know what 9 foods Jesus ate or recommended? Incredible. Jesus is like creating BuzzFeed articles 2,000 years ago. You cannot make this up. Should Christians watch Spider-Man? This may change your mind. I truly am kind of curious. We have this act of love will leave you in tears, and it's a bull that looks like it's about to annihilate some guy, which is... Who does this? This one thing stops Ben Shapiro from becoming a Christian. I thought he was a Christian. I thought... Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, we've got like a lot. There's one about the mark of the beast. It looks like it's some kind of thumb implant. It's like one of those matchstick birth controls, but it goes in like your thumb, in the fatty area of your thumb. We've got, is Marilyn Manson a Christian? Somehow, I doubt it, but I guess it's possible. This is this is like a lot. Like you see all of this is just Ray Comfort reacting to things. There we have our red arrow. Of course, you have to have that for the clickbait titles. Ray is being, I guess, compared to a lion, which is kind of funny. But you'll notice none of this is science-based, and Living Waters used to do a lot more of that. It is a very different scene over at Dr. Dino, 1-800-BIG-DINO's channel. Old Kent Hovind, domestic abuser, tax avoider, huckster, snake oil salesman. And I didn't used to be as mean to Kent Hovind as I am now. I probably wouldn't have even agreed to debate him if I knew the things about him that I know now. But Kent is at least he is a fan of the old style of creationist thumbnails, which is, it's just him and his 500 billion slide long PowerPoint. And then sometimes it's like Matt Powell, who is kind of like his minion, feels like the right term here.
Dude, everyone knows you're gay, it's okay.
What? The only thing I'm gay for is
sodomites.
But there is something wrong with wishing death on people from Palestine and gay people, which is something that Kent did in this video titled Whack and Atheist Wednesday. It's a video responding to Emma Thorne's and Atheist Junior AJ's all-star mashup video that I will link in the description.
I just want people to see who they are.
As homosexuality goes, you know, I believe the Bible puts a death penalty on it. I believe it's disgusting.
Suppose when the disease was first discovered, all those who had it were isolated or euthanized.
That just kind of lists all this horrible shit that Kent Hovind says. It's really abhorrent. He talks a lot about, you know, quarantining and executing people. And Matt Powell talks a lot about, you know, women being harlots and their place in the household is, you know, naturally submissive. And it's just a lot. He talks about, like, beating the crap out of his kid. And then the way that he responds to that in this video is he's like, people in this room, like, do you spank your kids? And then, like, people we don't see are like, uh-huh. And he's like, see, it's not that bad. So, I don't know. This is just a lot. And I'm not trying to bring unnecessary attention to Kent Hovind. I guess I'm sort of doing it inadvertently. But the reason is because even people who are young earth creationists who don't hate Kent, they should know what it is that he's actually out here saying. And it's a lot of really bad stuff. So his responses to this, in this video, like his response to Emma's video was basically to double down. So he's like, yeah, I did say all that stuff. Yeah, you know, like execute the gays or like quarantine them or something. It's really gross, and I'm not psychologically well trained enough to even begin to dig into the pathology that is Kent Hovind and Matt Powell. I don't cover either of them on this channel because I really do think that they are like the most low-hanging of the low-hanging fruit. But I just thought I would, you know, let some of you guys kind of know what the scoop is, what's going on. Would you look at that? Look who's in the chat. Hold on. If it isn't our boy, MFB, Monkey for Banana. And in the section where Kent is talking about how being gay is an abomination, Monkey for Banana says these liberals love their abominations, don't they? They love what God hates. So if you needed another reason for why we also don't interact with that channel, that's one of them. It's just non-stop. It's trash in, trash out. And you might be wondering, why bring up this guy now? And the answer is it was very fortuitous. I did not expect to see our boy in the chat, but I thought it might be a fun experiment since we're just going ahead and bonking Young Earth Creationist YouTube channels to just bop on over to old Monkey for Bananas channel real quick. He's got a lot of videos. He's live right now. And I just thought we'd do a little experiment. Let's sort videos by most popular, and we'll see if we can't together suss out the reason why he might be keen on turning a blind eye to Kent Hovind's domestic abuse, calls for the execution of certain people groups, and just general ignorance and stupidity, I guess, and irresponsibility. I mean, remember that kid like died at Dinosaur Adventure, and Ken talks about that in that video too. He's like, sorry, kid, boys will be boys. You know how little kids are, always getting themselves killed. It's I'm laughing, but it's because I'm uncomfortable. So let's check this out. Let's just see for a sec. Okay, so we got a couple of vids here, MFB, and what I should hope is immediately quite obvious is how many of these videos are about Kent Hovind, and how many of them are Kent coming on and like doing debates on like MFB's channel. Let's count. We'll play the count, you know, from Sesame Street, right? We got Joe Rogan video, so that's not a Kent Hovind video. Okay, cool. So 1, 2, that's not one. Okay, that's not too bad. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's keep scrolling. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I could go on, but yeah, that's like over 80% of the top 20, 25, 30 videos. So I think it's maybe becoming a bit more clear as to why we might be supporting Kent Hovind when he is, in fact, a massive reason as to why people bother coming to the channel at all. Curiously, Frank Turek doesn't seem on board with the classic thumbnail trend that's going on right now, but that doesn't mean that he is immune to cringy titles. As I mentioned in the last Frank Turek video that I made, Frank can be a little goofy. He can be a little silly, and one thing that he never is funny. But it's nice to see that we've got Iron Man and The Purpose of Life. It really does seem like they're latching onto superheroes lately. I'm not really sure why, but listen, you can't appropriate Futurama like that. That is not a show for you, Frank. But amidst all the culture war style videos such as Communism Works, just ignore all the times it has been tested with the Babylon Bee. Is Jesus enough for you without spiritual experience? And of course, Frank's response to being called a bigot, and the thumbnail is Frank surrounded by a swarm of floating, disembodied Karens, which is something that's truly original. We do actually have some legitimate sort of quote-unquote science conversations. We've got Do You Trust Science? We've got him talking with, I believe that's Stephen Meyer again, the classic intelligent design advocate, talking about the tree of life. So it's not all nonsense, I guess I should say. I guess I should qualify that statement a little bit, because I meant it's not all culture war nonsense. A lot of it is still regular nonsense. So I want to share with you kind of what I mean, or what I meme, I should say, because the guest on this particular video is What Do You Meme, a Christian apologist YouTuber, and one of the classic guys that doesn't say a lot about science, and it's a good thing that he doesn't, because when he starts talking about that, or like curiously some aspects of scripture, like weirdly enough, he tends to get it wrong. So let's take a moment and watch this together. There's not much to it. I'm just gonna kind of walk you through my thought process, because I already watched it, and we'll see what we think. So we have a video titled When Atheists Slam Genesis Without Reading It. And the meme that he shows is, it's Adam and Eve, and it's like, according to Genesis, we all came from Adam and Eve, who had 3 sons. Think about it. Take all the time you need. And of course, the implication of this is like, yeah, it's like a ton of incest, right? And that's kind of weird, because the Bible says incest is a sin, like more than once. So let's see what Do You Meme has to say about this.
All right, well, thankfully, we won't need long. So, as you can see, the main point of this meme is that since Adam and Eve only had 3 sons, there wouldn't be any women to make babies with, and hence the biblical account is false and ridiculous, because after all, it tells us that all of humanity came from just 3 dudes.
So when you hear this, you're like, excellent! Good job, What Do You Meme? Because where he's actually going, where you think he's going, is he's gonna say, yeah, like obviously like the sons of Adam and Eve aren't gonna like have sex with their mom and have kids in that way, right? So surely where this is gonna go is What Do You Meme is gonna be like atheists aren't taking it in the context, and then he's gonna bring up, the situation where Cain kills Abel and then leaves, finds a wife somewhere, and then starts a city in the land of Nod, a place that already had a name. And so you're like, yeah, okay, so he's gonna be like, yeah, there were clearly other people on the earth. Like, it's not like Adam and Eve were literally the first 2 people. At least that's what I thought he was gonna say. Let's let him tell us What Do You Meme. Tell us your stories. Weave us your yarn.
But is this really an obvious biblical blunder found in the Bible? Or is it really just a failure of the atheists to actually read what the Bible says in its full context? Let's see. So if you know anything about the Bible, then you already know that the meme is referencing the story of Adam and Eve found in the book of Genesis. And in the book of Genesis, we do learn that Adam and Eve had 3 sons, Cain, Abel, and Seth. But guess what else we read in Genesis?
And now you're like, yeah, we read that Cain went to another place and found a wife there, and then there was a city and a place that was already named, and that's, it works out, right? Wrong.
In the 5th chapter of the book, we read, after Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Other sons and daughters. Wow. Think about that. Take as much time as you need.
Sir, this is incest. You just moved the problem down the line. Now instead of Eve's sons having sex with her, it's just the kids are all just doing orgies together.
Look, I'm not trying to tell you how to feel about incest. I'm just letting you know there's more to it than you've been told.
We could talk about the genetic implications of this. I've talked about it elsewhere. Human diversity is low compared to other great apes, but it is not that low. So it's not low enough to be like a single family, right? And we can tell that because it turns out we have apes today who are going to be leaving that kind of genetic imprint, right? Like there's 30 Hainan gibbons left. Their genetic diversity is like it's in the tank, dude. It's not going anywhere. But it's this kind of like galaxy-brained take that just makes you kind of worried, right? Like Woody Meme's got a big channel, and he talks about a lot of stuff. And like this is the moral of the story is, of course, like don't dip your toe into subjects where you like don't know what you're talking about. And also maybe this like includes science and like academic Bible studies, like biblical scholarship, because it seems like he doesn't really know that. It's just they drive me crazy with the incest, right? It's all about incest all the time in the early parts of Genesis, and these guys will just be apologists for it all day long. It doesn't make any sense from a scriptural point of view either, like theologically. Here's God, he's the triomni God, he's omniscient, he's omnipotent, and he is all-loving, and he's like, you know what? Incest is cool, and then what if you're a young earth creationist is like a snap of time, he's like, you know what, JK, no more banging your sisters. It doesn't make any sense. It's not in line with the character that God is presented as for like the entire rest of the collective text. But these guys, like, I don't know if it's just that they can't waste like the ATP on thinking about it that much further or what. I don't like What Do You Meme? I don't like Frank Turek. I don't like Monkey for Banana. I really loathe Kent Hovind. I don't like Answers in Genesis, and I don't like Living Waters. They're not funny. They're just trying to cash in on like a nice trend in order to force more viewership because they're trying to stop the hemorrhaging that's going on with young people leaving the church. And like, I guess I get it, right? Like I understand where they're coming from. It's just getting my eyes assaulted by young earth creationist humor and I guess like pseudo ID humor is just, it's exhausting, and they're not even doing the, like, you're called Answers in Genesis, right? You're not even doing the Genesis talk very much anymore. Anyways, I know this was kind of a pointless video. Again, I needed the fluff content. I've got some big stuff in the pipeline, so I'm excited for you to see that. And in the meantime, just keep hanging out, my dudes.